Okay, this is the review for tomorrow's quiz. Madison, we hope you feel better. Okay, you got to get it equal to 0 first. The reason quadratic and discriminant is on there again is because last time we did quadratic, all the answers were real. Might have some imaginary this time. All right. Formula, anybody? It doesn't ask you to write the formula this time, so you just have to solve them. But so over on our example here, opposite of b plus or minus b squared is not 100 Hofbauer, it's 36, right? Minus 4 times 10 times 11 all over 2a, which would be 20. So negative 6 plus or minus the square root of, that's what, 440? Is it negative 404, anybody? Wow, that was lucky because I was kind of guessing. Okay, now what? There's one where you're going to do quite a bit of simplifying on the quiz, I think. So I'm going to put negative 6 over 20 plus or minus. This is over 20. It's 440. Then minus then did you do the 36? We're good? Okay. We can, yes, there's going to be an I, and then it's square root of 4 times square root of 101. Is that right? Everybody's okay? I just took the negative, square root of negative 1 out and made an I. What'd I do? I moved it all that way. Yeah, you could have moved it all that way. I just don't like more negatives than I have to deal with. Okay, as long as you make it to equal to 0, doesn't matter which way you move it. Good question, Andrew. All right, what is this whole mess going to reduce to, guys? This one will reduce to negative 3/10, yes? Plus or minus. This will be 2, which the 2 will go into the 20 once. So you have I square root of 101 over, whoops, I didn't write 101. I square root of 101 over 10. Or you could write it negative 3 plus or minus I square roots of 101 all over 10. But this separated is fine too. Everybody all right? The I isn't going to mess you up too much. I think you'll be fine. Do you remember discriminant? Do we need to talk about discriminant? Okay. Discriminant is just b squared minus 4ac. It's just the inside. And what are the rules? If that discriminant is greater than 0, there's 2 real. If it's equal to 0, there's 1 real. Yes, 2 complex. If you wrote imaginary, I would not count that wrong. I'm okay with them, 2 imaginary. Do you remember why it's really called complex? Yeah, you got it. All right, can I go on to the next standard? Reagan, what's confusing you? You're okay? Okay. Oh, sorry. If the discriminant is greater than 0, equal to 0, or less than 0. You all right now? Yep, my crummy writing. Anybody else? Do we need to do a discriminant, or you're okay? Just as long as you remember what the formula is and what it means? Okay. I can evaluate a function including from a graph. That didn't go well on the last one. Remember, if I give you this graph, and put some little and it might say find f of 0 or find f of 2. Do you remember how that goes? So f of 0 is looking for the y value when x is 0, so it looks roughly like -1 on my little picture. And f of 2 looks like what? At 2, it's crossing, so it would have a 0. F of -2 over here, I can't really tell what that's supposed to be. 1.5? I don't know. If you need more practice on this, there should be more, because this was a remediation worksheet from the last quiz, so that's in the bin if you want another practice on this whole section. Okay, average rate of change. Ms. Abruzzo wrote this worksheet up for us, so I'm thinking she thought we really needed to do this, not just talk about it. Do you remember how to do average rate of change? Okay, put a 2 in. 4 times 2 squared minus 6 times 2 minus 1. I don't know, I think 3, but I could be totally wrong. Okay, put a 5 in. That's 69. Okay, then what? You do not add those two numbers together and divide by 2. I know it has the word average in the question, but do you remember? Yes, you got to do slope. And the ordered pairs are 2, 3, and 5, 69. And the slope is not change in x over change in y. $66 over 3 is 22. Anybody? All right. Do you know how to determine if something's a function? Vertical line test, or if it's a list of ordered pairs, the x's can't repeat. We're good. I can evaluate a function at a given value or expression. So do we need to practice these? Actually, I don't think anybody made a mistake on this. You got to FOIL it out, right? And then distribute the 3, and then put it in here as well. Do you need me to do that one? Okay. What about this one? Just because I don't think we practiced one like this before. Can you put a negative n in there? 8m? So 3 times negative 8m squared minus 7 times negative 8m plus 2. What's going to happen there? How many m squareds do we get? Got to square it first, yes? So that would be 64m squared times 3, which is, I don't know, 192? Is that right? M squared. This would be what? Plus 56m plus 2. Everybody gonna get that right? Because I think it's one like that on the quiz. All right. Functions, number 2. This is the second attempt on this section. You have to identify domain and range. If it's an equation and it looked like this, how would you find the range? You'd have to find this max, and if that was at negative 114.3, what would you do then? Why is that? I don't know what's going on there. That's something on the screen. If that was that ordered pair, how would you write the domain for this, or the range for this? Domain's all real numbers. bottom to top inclusive because it hits that value. Everybody okay? All right. I can determine where a function is discontinuous. Where the denominator equals 0 if it's a rational function. So that factors how? X plus 2x plus 5. So this function is discontinuous. I can spell. When x equals -2 or x equals -5. I don't remember this time. If it's like a yes or no question, is it continuous at this spot? It might be more like this where it says, give me a number where it is discontinuous, okay? Even odd, last time I felt like everybody was just guessing. If it was an equation, you seem to be okay. Like an even function, maybe an x to the 4th and an x squared and a constant, right? Those were all even. But what did the graph have to look like to be an even function? Y-axis symmetry, okay? So this or this, kind of. We okay? Odd function, if you had like x cubed minus an x, those are degree 3 and degree 1. Or it would have origin symmetry. Oh, it could be something really painful like that. Or just a cubic. Well, pretend that went through the origin. We might need the big dot theorem. We okay? This function thing, again, this is from the last quiz, so there is a remediation worksheet over there if you want it on this concept. All right. This is a new one. Find the zeros and then do all this evaluating of the function. So can we do this one together? Everybody grab your calculator. Type it in. Okay, part of the question on the quiz says find an appropriate window. So I'm gonna let you guys fiddle around until somebody thinks they have an appropriate window. An appropriate window is not zoom fit. Because yes, zoom fit can be very ridiculous. Zoom fit will show you the top and the bottom, but it will likely also lose a lot of stuff. If it was doing something crazy in the middle between there, you wouldn't see it because it zooms out so far. I will teach you when it's appropriate to use zoom fit on a word problem. There are some word problems where it's very appropriate. If you set an appropriate X, it'll generally give you an appropriate Y, but anybody find it good? The X window seems okay. What about Y? Say that again. Thank you. Guys, what I did for mine is I found like the smallest window that would work. And then if yours is bigger than that, you'll be okay. Does that make sense? Unless it's crazy big. This is okay. I probably would have picked down further just so that when I put them, go to calculate the minimum, it's not cut off on my screen. All right. What do we need to find? Zeros, maxes, and mins. Does everybody know how to find all three? There's a 0, I don't know, between -10 and -5 over there. You know me, I like to type. I don't like to scroll around, but you're welcome to scroll around. What is this? Why are you going to write this down if I ask you to write this as an ordered pair? 1e negative 12 is just 0, right? So negative 5.6 and 0 is a 0. Negative 5.1 or 0.51. I can read. Oh, it's a struggle, but oh, amen. 2.1, 2.10, 2.1. I'd like you to go to hundreds, but some of these just happen to round it nicely, right? What else? End behavior. I already forgot what it looked like. That's pretty bad, Hofbauer. I almost stirred it upside down again. Okay. So it's like this, right? I just want to be able to label some points on my screen here. So I don't really care about the zeros. What I care about for our purposes here in a second are going to be the max and the min, and we're going to estimate an inflection point. But before we do that, end behavior, can someone tell me what you might write there? And I don't care which way you tell me. If you want to do x's first, it's okay. What? Okay, so it's going down as x goes to the right. Okay. And what's it doing as x goes to the left? It's going up. Guys, I made that a multiple choice question. Okay? Because it's a pain in my neck when everybody writes it differently to try to grade it. So it's multiple choice. So it might have the x's first this time and then the y's. I don't know. But just read them carefully, figure out which one's right. All right. Maxes and mins. Does somebody have those for us so I don't have to do them? Did someone else get those numbers? All right, let's talk about this weirdness. We have to figure out where we want to put. I know it's probably really hard to see mine. Yeah, we need an inflection point somewhere in here. What do you want to pick, Andrew? Yeah, that'd be great. Guys, we need to, this is what I would do, honestly. It's somewhere between -3 and +1, right? What do you want to do? -1? Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what, if you just pick somewhere and then type it in, -1, -7 looks beautiful. You can give me ugly decimals. This is not fun for me to grade these, but the issue is whatever you put down for that inflection point should be reflected in what? Yes, that x value should be in the concavity, okay? It's concave up here, and it's concave down here, and the x value was at -1. That's what we're using. So you would say up from -infinity to -1 and down from -1 to infinity. Everybody okay? But whatever you use for your inflection point, that same number should be shown in your concave up and down. So if you use something different, that's fine. All right. We did the max and mins. What about increasing and decreasing? We go back up here and we go from the left, it's doing what? Decreasing. And how are we going to state that? negative 3.6, using our x's. The next chunk is increasing from negative 3.6 to where? Yep, 0.93. And then it goes down again from 0.93 to infinity. I don't know, I feel like usually this is trouble, but I really feel like you guys are getting this. I hope I'm right. We'll see after the quiz, I guess. Before I move, I gave you a worksheet that had 4 examples of this. We did them last Friday or something. It's not on the homework check. It's a really old, ugly worksheet. We did like the very first problem together. I can hold one up. I can probably even, it said more properties of functions or some craziness at the top. The you pick 2 thing I was going to talk about as well. That would be really good practice. But this one is, yes, what is the title at the top? Basic properties. There it is. Okay. Thank you. It looked like this. Now is it seeming familiar? Okay. We did the first one, but if you wanted to do a little more practice on this, do a couple more of these. Okay? And the key is in the binder if you want to take a picture so you can check that you're doing them right. Of course, if you haven't done your homework, there'd be some really good practice for you to do tonight. Okay. Then what? Function number 4, property number 4, which, I don't know, has a different name, I think. This is 1.5 on the quiz. I think it's called 1.5. I can describe transformations that would change a graph when a parent function and a new equation. So, what 3 things would you describe here to change p of x into f of x? The parent function here into this. In order. Can you do them in order? Start in here. That's going to be what? Okay, I'm going to be picky here, but I'm actually not going to be picky when I grade it. Is a horizontal shift left 7. I would prefer you said shift left 7 as to just say left 7, but I probably went kind of wrong. Okay, the next thing is actually what? The stretch. It is a vertical stretch by factor 3. And then the last thing, yes, a vertical shift down 2. All right, what about g of x over there? I don't have a lot of room. What can I do? I'll try to write it up above. For this one, what? Right 4, okay. Horizontal shift right 4. Now, what's the second thing? Because this matters, okay? The order matters here. You have to do the reflection before you shift up. If this is your axis and you shift it up and then reflect it all the way down here versus it's here, you flip it upside down and shift it up 10. Those aren't the same places, right? So it's reflect over x-axis. And then the last thing, vertical shift up 10. No, I didn't know it was red when I started writing that second time. I was trying to do that whole question in blue so you'd know it went with g of x. Sorry. All right. This says I can create a new function. Okay. The one on the quiz, Miss Abruzzo made this a miserable question kind of on purpose so that the one on the quiz will seem easy, I think. I'm going to put this on a new page, I think. All right, this is on the final, so you're probably going to see this about 5 times because it's on the SLO test, so I want you to be good at it. It's starting with this parent function. How would you give it a vertical stretch of 2? Okay, so it would become 2 square root of x. How would you shift it left 3? How would you shift that up 6? Okay. Now, she was really cruel. If this is the order, what tells you that the last thing you're going to do is you'd have to say the whole thing with the negative outside, because otherwise you would redo the reflection would be up here. It's not on the quiz that way, I promise. But that's the only way to tell me to do it in that order. Think about order of operations now. If I were to tell you to put a 7 in here, you would first do this and then do this. So you're really not doing these two in order, but it doesn't matter. Okay. Then the up 6. The reflection matters. It's not like that on the quiz, okay? There's no extra parentheses needed, I promise. I don't think there's a way that the order for 1 and 2 matters. What? You mean with the reflection here? Yeah, it just isn't going to matter because stretching it this way and shifting it, it is never going to matter what order you did it in. Okay, let's keep going. Whoops, I left something off, right? Oh, this is matching question. If this is the parent function, we're supposed to be able to match the graph. Well, she's going to make us draw the graph, okay? But it's matching on the quiz. What would this look like if this is our parent? So this is f of x. What would a 2 outside do? Which way? Up and down or across? This is a vertical stretch, right? So it does not change the x-intercepts. It changes here where it crosses the y. It stretches it down further. So if that was like a -2, it would go down to -4. All right, what's this one going to do? Yes, so it would take this exact picture and move it to the right 2. I can't really tell, guys. I think it would maybe look like this. I can't tell if that's supposed to be -1, then it would be at 1. I don't know. But it would just move to the right. It's a matching question, I promise. This one, shrink which way? Yes, towards the x-axis, okay? What else, though? Yeah, if this was at -2, initially when you took half, it would be at -1 here, but then the negative would flip it upside down. So the 0 would actually be at +1. If this one was -2, here it would be at +1. Hopefully you can tell on my graph, okay? Write an equation. Who's the parent? Anybody recognize this one? Square root of x. Okay, can you tell me where things go? Okay, so I'm assuming this point right here, it used to be at 0, 0, right? With an absolute value graph, so it shifted right 3, up 1. How do we do that? Good job. And now what do we have to figure out? The stretch, okay. And how do we figure out the stretch? Plug in 4, 3. And if we're really smart, we put the 4 in for the X and the 3 in for the Y, because that didn't go well for a couple people on the last quiz. All right. I made it kind of a hot mess, but it says 3 equals 4 minus 3 is 1, square root of 1 is 1, 1 times A is just A. But we can't deal with that. We got to subtract it, right? So final answer, X minus 3 plus 1. Whole page of those you can practice, right? The evens were assigned, but if you want more practice, you can do the odds too. Woohoo! All right. This is the piecewise, which is called 1.5 part B on the quiz. I can evaluate a piecewise function at a given value. So could you find f of -6? We really killed this yesterday, didn't we? Do we need to do these? Not do them at all? Okay, -6, you put it in here, but you got to remember to square it first, right? So it'd be 3672 minus 369, maybe? 0 would be what? I know, you just told me you didn't want to do them, but I'm doing them anyway. It'd just be the second one, so it'd stay 5. A 5 would go in this one, so it would be -36. Okay. Then what does it say to do? I can accurately graph a piecewise function. So we're supposed to graph this hot mess? Okay. I'm thinking I need to put that in another page. And goodness, oh no, that's not going to work, Hofbauer. I cut off half of it. See if that, I don't know why my little box doesn't work very good anymore. Okay. Look, we can even read it now. I can make it. All right. I don't have graph paper, so this is going to be a hot mess, I'm pretty sure. All right. So less than -2, it's this. So how could, guys, do you want to practice using the calculator today? So you could put in (2x squared minus 3). And then what? Go to the table, which you want to make sure in your table setup you have on auto. Go second window, because otherwise it's not going to generate values until you put them in. You know, so you could say I want it to go -2, -3, -4. This way, if it's on auto, I just have to, it's already there. I just got to figure out some ordered pairs. That's the difference. Okay. So -2, 5, what else? -3, 15. That's going to be off my graph paper pretty fast, I think. Yes? All right. So, -1, -2. Is -2, 5 an open or closed circle? It was less than -2, right? Yeah, okay. And then it's a parabola that's opening up. So it goes way up to 15 somewhere, okay? The rest of that parabola is actually way down here. All right, now what? Easy part. What does this piece look like? Horizontal line up at 5. What was this at? Was this at 5? Oh. And it starts here, yes? So you fill that dot in and go over to 3. There's a reason for that. Because it's continuous now from here to here. Yes. Because it's going to ask that question in a minute. Is it discontinuous? All right. Then what happens? Now we're at 3. Oh, and it should have been an open circle. Thank you. And then it's a V going down. Yes. Do you want to practice that on the calculator for some order pairs or not? How do you do that on the calculator? Okay, it's math. Yeah, thanks. -6. Math. Arrow to the right. It's the very first one. X plus 1. If I do a zoom 6 for a standard window. Oh, you. By 3, if I go to my table. Nice, Miss Bruzzo. By 3, it is down at -24, and then it's at -30. Okay. So down here somewhere, and going off that way. So it was 3, what? -24, and 4, -30. I do hereby solemnly swear it'll fit on the graph paper that I give you, I promise. Because I don't want to grade one that looks like this. All right. So, where is the place that this is discontinuous at? At 3. At x equals 3, it has a discontinuity. Okay. I think that might have been a question on here. All right. I can determine if it's continuous at a value. This was yes, continuous at -2, if I go back to the right, because they were on top of each other. Wrong way. No at 3. All right, I can write an equation for a piecewise graph. Here we go. What about here, guys? Okay. I'm going to do da-da-da-da-da. And how many pieces? 2. One is going to say if x is, and one is going to say if x, what? Less than 2 or greater than or equal to 2. Everybody okay? And I think it's like that on the quiz. Well, I'm not positive. There's only 2 pieces to it. I'm pretty sure, but it's possible that this one ends with a something like that, so you have to do a sandwich sentence or something. But that's not hard. All right. I want to do the easy half first. What is this? The y value is down at -2 when x is greater than or equal to 2. What do we have to do over here? Yes, we have to find the equation of the line. It looks like it goes up 1 and over 1, 2, 3, 4. Up, that's up 2. Up 2 and over 4. So a slope of 1/2 x. It's going up and to the right, yes, okay. And it's got a +2. Do you want me to review that algebraically? Okay, that was, yes. Nice. Oh, yeah, it shouldn't have a space. Good point. Okay. Is that it, guys? Okay. Homework questions? I have 5 minutes. Do you have homework questions? Nice. Oh, look at you. But I'm glad you did that. So now you know what you need to study tonight, yes?